First and foremost, after a few years, we realized that this had so much more potential than farming, than beef cattle or growing tobacco, and that this is something that we needed to nourish and continue to run and grow year after year after year.
Failure was not an option to us. We had to succeed. We didn't know anything else we could do.
Except go back to the farm, and for the first several years, our business strategy was to make sure we could open the doors tomorrow morning.
And we always wanted to be able to pay our electric bill and pay our rent. That was important.
And as the business grew, matured, we created an infrastructure of core values and a strong team of seasoned executives so that we could turn the business over to the next generation.
The company was started back in 1971. I had sold another business I had and was looking to start a different business, and so I went to several employment agencies, personnel firms in Memphis and Nashville and Jackson, Tennessee to try to find a job or decide what I was going to do, and came up with the idea that maybe we could do the same thing in rural northwest Tennessee. And so basically I spent 2 or 3 weeks going out and talking to different companies, basically manufacturing companies, about working with a recruiter in the employment business. Most of them thought it was an insane idea, but most of them worked with recruiters in St. Louis, Memphis, or Atlanta, and said they would give a local company an opportunity. The name of the company at that time was a very auspicious name, had a lot of flair to it. It was called West Tennessee Personnel Agency. So that's kind of the way it got started.
As Wayne said, my office was just down the hall, and we were fishing and hunting and playing racquetball and golf. And at some point, we decided that it might make sense for us just to partner up, because I was selling life insurance, and so I would work in the mornings while Wayne took care of the cows, and then he would come in at noon and I would sell life insurance in the afternoons and evenings, and that's how we got started. Within a year or two, we started doing business with Emerson Electric, and we did such a good job for them that Emerson wanted us to do some work for some of their other plants in the southeast. And the guy who was our primary customer, Jerry Palmer, said, "You guys need to change your name." I said, "This West Tennessee Personnel Agency sounds like soybeans. So y'all need to come up with another name if you expect me to pitch you to the rest of Emerson Electric." So we decided that we did not want our names associated with it. We wanted 2 names, but we didn't want our names, because if this thing failed, we didn't want to embarrass our mothers. So we went to Memphis.
Correct.
And spent several hours at an advertising agency that was going to help us come up with a really first-class name. And I don't recall what the options were, but we didn't like any of them. So several hours later, we found ourselves out on the sidewalk, and we decided we were not going to leave Memphis without having this issue resolved. So I think Wayne decided he'd pick the first one.
Yeah, I think I had $10 in my pocket, didn't have a credit card, and at that time gas was 35 cents or so. So we had enough money to buy gas to get back to Weakley County. And Hamilton, as Secretary of the Treasury, also the Hamilton Bank in Chattanooga was a very strong bank in Tennessee at that time. So I just looked down and said, "Okay, Hamilton."
And my favorite television show was The Rookies, and their boss was a guy named Sergeant Ryker, and he was my favorite character. So I said, we'll call it Ryker, Hamilton-Ryker, and we'll put a hyphen in between it. And that's how it came to be.
And we chose the company colors that day, and we flipped a coin, and I won, and I chose the colors of my high school that I went to, which was blue and white. If you'd won. And then we asked that company to design a logo and send it to us, and we went to the house. We went back to Weakley County that night, wondering what was going to happen next.